Appraisal gaps, what are they and what they mean to you? An appraisal gap is simply put as a gap between the sales price and the appraised value of a home. So let's say you are buying a $250,000 house, you get the appraisal completed and the appraisal report comes back and it shows a value of $240,000. Well, that $10,000 between the appraised value and the contract price is what we call the appraisal gap. So what that means is lenders are only able to lend on the lower of those two values. So in this case, the maximum we can lend is on that $240,000. You're obviously under contract for $250,000, so that's where we need to try figuring out what we're going to do with that additional $10,000. There's really four main ways to get around this issue. The first of that is to basically resubmit a revaluation document that basically you'll get your realtor to pull together some additional comps, so comparable homes to the one you're buying, submit that to the appraisal and see if they will reconsider the value. The second option is to renegotiate the deal and the sales price with the seller. Ideally, in a perfect world, they'll bring the sales price down to the appraised value to eliminate the gap entirely. However, that's not always going to be the case. You might be lucky if they'll meet you halfway or a portion of the way. But that's always kind of an option to renegotiate the deal. The third option is to just pay that gap outright. So in this case, you have a $10,000 gap between the appraised value at $240,000 and the sales price at $250,000. Therefore, you as the buyer could just bring that additional $10,000 to closing to fill the gap and basically eliminate that issue. The fourth option is to walk away from the deal. There might be some issues with walking away and might be some risk in doing that, but for the most part, that's always going to be an option. In this market where right now we are seeing people sign what is called basically a inspection waiver or appraisal waiver. Basically what that is saying that regardless of the appraised amount that you are willing to pay it. So basically you're signing away your rights to walk away from the deal due to the appraised value of the home. So when you sign that document, that throws in a lot more factors. In this market we're in right now, obviously that's one way that people are making their offers a little bit more competitive because it's showing the seller that we're going to pay whatever we have to get this house. But on the downside, it puts you in a little bit more of a risky situation, because you're signing this document, so you can't really get out of the deal because of the appraisal, meaning you either have to figure out how to renegotiate or come up with that additional cash to cover that gap, which for some people is not always going to be a possibility. So when you're making offers and if you're signing those inspection or appraisal waivers, you really need to be mindful of what might happen. Just make sure you are able to have some extra reserves or have a way to get some additional funds to possibly have to cover a appraisal gap. Sometimes it could be $5,000, $10,000, but sometimes it also could be $30,000, $40,000. Really just depending on the market, how much your offer is, etc. So that's kind of what an appraisal gap is, kind of how it can affect you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we will happily go over all the details with you, talk about some strategies to get around it, and really help you get to the perfect house. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.